Now, welcome to some speculation and predictions for the Ahsoka finale, I think.
Yeah, we're going to discuss what we think might happen, or maybe what we think could happen or
What
should
won't happen,
happen.
or should happen, sure.
These are just speculations for fun, and I'd love it if you leave in the comments below what things do you think we'll see in the finale.
Yeah,
Well, what would
absolutely.
you like to see?
Or not see.
Bum bum bum.
All right, let's get to it.
Maybe some of the comments will make it into Tuesday's video, our last ditch Ahsoka.
Tuesday morning's video, yeah.
Yeah, Tuesday
That's
morning,
it.
our
It's the
last
deadline.
ditch theories. Place your bets. Here's my first question to you. Will we find out what Thrawn's cargo actually is, what the ramifications of it are?
I hope so.
Because you think it's too much of a tease to not show us?
I feel like we don't know anything going into the finale about why we should be, other than the show literally telling us, like, Thrawn coming back is bad. Mm-hmm. We don't know, like, why that's the case. Like, what is this Night Sister cargo? What is he
Yeah,
exactly
the fact
going
that
to
they're
do?
doing so much for him means that this has to be important.
It has to be extremely important to them. It feels like this is kind of like a last-ditch effort for them to kind of reinvigorate the Night Sisters, because we see, like, 3 of them. Mm-hmm. That's all we've seen.
Yes, just the 3 great mothers.
Yeah, and these casket cargo things where there are, like, 50 some of them
Which
that
makes
we've
me
seen.
wonder, will those benefit Thrawn, or are those literally just the deal?
I think it's the deal.
Like, literally, they're going to get back and be like, these are the Night Sisters. Thrawn doesn't get to use these things.
I probably does. It
Or
depends on...
Is he going to double-cross them?
I don't think he's going to double
I don't
cross
think
them.
he's that kind of guy.
He generally is going to keep his word. Mm-hmm. But are they going to try to double cross him? Are they not being completely honest with him about what's in those cargo? I mean, you would think he would take a peek, right? I want to, see if that
Right,
cargo
he
is
knows. He's not a fool.
good. But it is kind of strange we don't know what's in them yet, because, like, that would just, again, add to the tension of him potentially getting back if we find out there are these bad things in there.
I think he might use the Night Sisters against Ahsoka.
Well, he kind of did already.
Well,
They used their balls and, like,
yeah, to
pinpointed
find her is one thing, but he knows who her master was, and what's to say the Night Sisters can't use their dark magic to try and fool her?
her. They would have to know Anakin, unless they pull that from her mind, like
Or they have a
memories.
recording or something. I mean, he was
Yeah,
a
but-
well-known Jedi, and Thrawn knew him.
Well, sure, but you have to be convincing enough that Ahsoka doesn't think it's a trick, that she's like, you're
But it
acting
just
really
needs
strange,
to slow
Anakin.
her down. Because Thrawn's big plan is just to leave them there.
This sounds as bad as the idea that Ezra is, like, not real.
I'm just guessing.
I mean, Ezra has, like, this long-standing relationship with these, rock crab people, whatever you want to call them. I don't think that's, that the Night Sisters have been preparing all this time and have...
I think they were fine to leave
fabricated
Ezra
this
alone
relationship.
because they don't care about Ezra.
I
Ezra's
think
just
that's
living
what we're
his life.
supposed to believe, that Ezra was just out there with the pod people, and Thrawn was like, okay, I guess. I'm just going to go home, so if he's just going to hang out with the pod people... I don't know why I'm calling them pod people.
I
We'll
don't
call them
either.
crab people.
Go back to crab people because that's
Yeah.
what we were calling them.
Yeah, I think I guess that's what we're supposed to just, take away from it. Mm-hmm. But I don't think Ezra's like a fake Ezra or something. That's just stupid.
What is Balon up to? Do you think we're going to find out what he's up to, what he's looking for? Or do we think him kind of riding off into the sunset of this last episode might be the last we see of him for now?
I certainly think they wanted to do more with him. I don't think the intent was to just have him like disappear in this episode right off into the sunset or the gray overcast sky.
Well, I feel like he could
And-
easily be a tease for the whoever was left behind. Boom, bum, bum. Here's what Balon's been up to.
Well, that's what I've suggested. Like, if others get left behind, if Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra, any combination of them or all of them don't make it back, then I think you get this post-credit scene of, like, Balin finding something and dun-dun-dun, season 2.
I almost think, and I guess we'll jump forward on my list here, I almost feel like a lot of the characters are going to get left behind. That Thrawn is going to be the problem for people in the New Republic. Thrawn's going to be Hera's problem. Thrawn's going to be the Rangers of the New Republic's problem. He'll be the Mandalorians' problem. I don't know if he's going to be Ahsoka's, like, Season 2 problem. His only goal this season was to leave this galaxy and become part of something bigger.
Yeah, I feel like the whole Balin thing it's such an intriguing thing, and it would be so... And again, we have the Ray Stevenson, conundrum, obviously. We don't know what you're going to do. Are you going to recast him, or...
Disney is so afraid to recast the originals.
Well, it's not like he's this long-standing character, too, but I think a lot of people have already become very attached to him, and I think you get more attached to him just knowing the unfortunate tragedy involved with it, too. You
Yes.
really, I really don't want...
But I think in order to do honor to him, they have to recast
No.
him, and we have to know what the story was leading to.
I do agree, And so it really depends on what they feel they're going to do with him still. Mm-hmm. If they are just going to carry on and recast it, or are they going to try to drop that storyline, or what?
They can't drop the storyline. It was too interesting.
I mean, I agree, but that they might be thinking like, well, we had this really big thing going with Ray Stevenson, and I don't know if we can recast him and it's going to be good, or... I mean, that's what it all boils down to. Like,
no, I think they recast. I think they continue the story. I think they don't have a choice.
No, I tend to agree with you. I'm just saying, from their perspective, I'm sure it's an issue. I'm sure it's something... Obviously, it's an issue. Obviously, it's something they've discussed or even wondered about, or at least something. So I think the question is, if we see anybody get left behind, especially like at the main... I mean, there is only the main characters to get left behind, like Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra, and Huyang, of course. If they get left behind, clearly the plan all along has been Baylan is going to unleash something for them to have to deal with next season, right?
Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to happen to Shin? I mean... She
goes back with the Empire. She's going to...
But Thrawn didn't really want the two of them.
Thrawn seemed more...
He was going to send, like, if he gets rid of him, he's like, it's a win for me. He didn't care. They're disposable pieces to him.
Well, sure, but a Force sensitive is always... I mean, he's already finding that out with the Night Sisters, right? Like, Force sensitives, they have their uses, for sure.
But I don't think Shin is the type who's going to just blindly follow.
She wants to lead, but she understands there's a hierarchy that she needs to overthrow to get there.
Right, but like with her master, she was able to talk to him, to question him. Thrawn's not that guy. This is the order. I need you to go and do it and not question.
Well, I think we may get that scene with Shin at some point where she's maybe like looking back at the Star Destroyer and pondering if she should go back to Thrawn or ride back off and maybe get her vengeance or look for Baylan still. I think we'll get that scene and she, maybe she goes after Thrawn, she goes and joins the Empire, or maybe she does just kind of say, you know what, I'm going to go ride off. I don't want the Empire. I want to know what my master is looking for.
Well, if Thrawn thinks he delayed Ahsoka and Sabine and Ezra long enough that he's going to be done and leave before they get there, what chance does Shin have of making it back?
Well, I think Shin, that's a good point, too.
Shin's on a howler, but so...
Yeah, they have a ship. I mean, Ahsoka has a ship.
Ahsoka has a ship, and Sabine has a howler, and Ezra's riding around on mobile homes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like Thrawn's like, we have the advantage
even his
of time,
troops came back on a ship, and not with her.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Ahsoka has... They have
a ship, he doesn't care if she makes it back or not. So he's not going to wait for her.
So maybe she gets stuck there, too.
How do you think Ezra's going to take the truth of what Sabine did? They have to devote a portion of this episode to show the betrayal.
Well, yeah. Well, it's not really but
it sort of is. I know what you're saying. Because
sort of, yeah.
It's almost like they betrayed Ezra's trust. Ezra said, hey, I'm leaving this to you, Sabine. I'm passing my legacy on to you to protect Lothal, to protect the galaxy.
Well, she did that, though, too.
But she didn't because she's the one who's allowing Thrawn to come back.
Well, sure, but it's not like Thrawn's going to come back and
undid his sacrifice.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like he's going to come back and just go after Lothal.
No, he's not going to go after Lothal, but she undid his sacrifice.
No, I agree. It's kind of weird that the show has kind of been avoiding that so long. Because you think that would be something immediately Ezra would want to get some answers?
I'm curious. I'm hoping that this goes, obviously, the way it should. But it'd be weird because Sabine's in a position where she could try to lie first. Because
not really. Ahsoka's... I mean...
She doesn't know Ahsoka knows. Ahsoka was dead in her mind when she gave up the artifact. She could easily be like, well, I was taken prisoner. And Ahsoka would be like,
You think she's going to try to lie to Ahsoka? I think she's just going to come clean.
I feel like she is going to come clean.
I think Ahsoka's going to ask her.
It's an interesting aspect to think that she could try.
What if Ahsoka lies for Sabine?
It won't happen.
What?
The reason Sabine's been avoiding telling Ezra is because she's going to tell him the truth.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
But Ezra should be angry.
He should be very angry.
I hope he's not, like, nonchalant about it or cavalier about it. Like, we know Ezra can be.
He might be.
But we also know that he's tasted the dark side a little bit, and I want him to be angry. I feel like he should be justifiably angry. His chance at getting home after being stranded for so long led the Empire to bringing Thrawn back, the one thing he did. His legacy.
Yeah, she's kind of undone his heroic act.
But one thing I really would like to see in this season, I want to see Ezra meet Jason.
You're not going to see that.
Sabine didn't even tell him about Jason.
That'd be
Wouldn't you want to know if your master who died to help protect you and your friends had a child with Hera who you looked at as a mother?
Yeah, it's like mother and father I have a brother, essentially, a little brother.
Look at their little brother who could train. You could you could train him.
Yeah.
You could be his master. It'd be really cute.
And he
really
wants
nice.
to be a Jedi.
It's the whole legacy and bond thing that they are emphasizing in the trailers and stuff about the seasons.
Well, we don't know 100% she didn't tell him. He just doesn't, like, when he recaps or reiterates what she already told him, he doesn't mention it. That would be like the first thing.
That's when he should have mentioned it.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was basically the show's way of saying, like, this conversation about all these things that you already know, she told him. Just so you guys
I feel like that's when we should have seen him react to.
Well, that's a lot, though. I mean, like,
Zeb's training cadets. Wow.
Yeah, but that's just that would be so much exposition that we already know all that. So just to have Ezra give us 10 seconds of recapping it is just so much better than trying to have this conversation in which would, Ezra's going to ask all kind of questions, and I don't know.
Right, here's my my next question. Do you think this show is going to have solid connections to the other Disney Plus shows? Like, how do you think that this could connect to Skeleton Crew?
I mean, we've discussed
they like to weave one tale.
That we think that you would want to connect something to Skeleton Crew to kind of get some interest going into a show that nobody knows.
Aside from one pirate?
Yeah, which nobody cares about. Nobody cares about Vane. Yeah.
Sorry, Vane.
I mean, what would have been cool, or still could be, is whatever Balin is sensing is whatever. I mean, they get thrown into this other galaxy and go on some adventures, and this threat is what is kind of out there for them to deal with, right? Would that make the most sense?
We don't even know if their Skeleton Crew might not be leaving the galaxy.
I don't think it is.
In wild space,
yeah,
my guess.
I've always assumed it's kind of wild space. I mean, if you got Vane, like, how was he going to get out into the other galaxy, too?
He wouldn't want to. He wouldn't
Unless
care.
he somehow gets mixed up and that's some kind of really weird
I'm just curious how they could connect these two shows. And it just doesn't seem like something that could happen unless, let's say, the reason the kids end up lost in the universe is because Thrawn is back and the war has started. And they somehow end up off course because their space school bus gets lost or something.
But to close it out, I kind of feel like Skeleton Crew is going to go to this other galaxy just to make this more relevant.
But if it's so dangerous out there, you wouldn't want to put a kid show out there.
Well,
Though it is supposed to be scary.
Yeah, it's like Stranger Things meets Star Wars, right?
Yes,
it's
that's
kind of
what
like
they
they
said.
Described it, yeah. Which would make sense if you're going to this other galaxy and there's some kind of dark, horrible thing running around, right?
How about...
It's the Upside Down.
Yeah. How about more connections to Mando? We've seen that Carson Teva obviously made an appearance, mentioned Moff Gideon. We know Sabine's from Mandalore. Do you think we're going to have any further connections going on in the next season of maybe
I don't think we have any connections to Mando because I think Mando is kind of... I would be surprised if they really, despite Favreau kind of saying he knows what season 4 is like, I'd be surprised if they really have a solid plan with that one.
All right. Here's one that I think is interesting. Acolyte.
Yeah.
How will this... No, I think there could be. I think there could be a really good... Hu Yang. He would have been around back then.
Okay.
They introduced him in this. He's telling the histories of the galaxy. He could easily just cameo at the very least, show up in those training scenes back in the Jedi Temple because everyone could look at me like, oh my god, Hu Yang.
We're off to get our lightsabers.
He was there. He was. He's training them. I would like to actually see Hu Yang cameo in
I don't know if that's a connection
Acolyte.
as much as it's just a
kind
pure
of
Easter
something.
egg. No, I get what you're saying. I don't disagree. I think that would be kind of a cool thing. That's fine.
I think that would be really great to at least get to see Hu Yang doing his thing again.
Yeah, back in his old days. Well, not his old days, but...
He's older.
Slightly older.
Slightly
how
older.
long he's been around, yeah.
You could be training him with the lightsaber forms or something interesting.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. Kind of...
A fun Easter egg to throw in there for people who go like, oh, it's Hu Yang.
Yeah.
The droid who trains with lightsabers.
I don't think a lot of people who don't know who Hu Yang was or is, I don't think they have any idea like what his story is at all. He's just kind of this droid that's there.
It's a cameo that couldn't hurt to be put in there.
No, it's one that might help a lot of people go, oh, how long is... Did he say 25,000 years? Really?
Did he mean that? Say a long time.
Yeah. I mean, that's 25,000 years. We're talking like 150 years, but or 100 years, whatever.
What other things do you think... Is there anything else kind of closing out, though my list of questions is over, what else do you think could possibly happen in this season finale for us? Are we going to get any sort of a showdown?
I would imagine. How do you not have a finale without a showdown of some kind?
I mean, I'm worried that they rushed things too much. We're going to get like a Moff Gideon showdown or with the twisting mustache villain and
No, let's not do anything generic like that.
Because that felt cheap.
Yeah.
Because Moff Gideon, we kept saying, was such a great villain, so smart and everything. I'm like, don't do that to Thrawn.
No.
Don't do it.
You can't afford to do that to Thrawn.
He is part of the big picture. But you have to have some sort of final confrontation, and we don't have that.
Well, they have to lose. I mean, Thrawn has to get back.
Thrawn has to get back, but at what cost?
I don't think he's going to suffer. This is your opportunity to have Thrawn get a win and to like just embarrass your heroes. But then
what if
then
he takes out Sabine or Ezra?
I've suggested that. I hear a lot of people really hating that idea, especially taking out Ezra, which I think is the perfect idea.
I actually think he should take out Sabine. I think Sabine should sacrifice herself for him.
Perhaps.
I know that they're trying to hype Sabine up right now, but I feel like Ezra deserves to come home.
What if it came down to like Ezra needs to be saved and Sabine tries to use the Force? Like this is and you're like, oh my god, here she is. She's gonna break through. We've been waiting for it all season, and she fails, and Ezra dies. I love it.
I just can't stand the thought, I guess, of Ezra dying and never getting back home after his sacrifice.
After
his sacrifice, and then his enemy still gets free.
That's what sucks. That happens sometimes in Star Wars,
I get
right?
it, but that's still really sad.
It's really sad. I know. That's why it would be awesome in a way. Because we want Thrawn to get a big win, right? We want to, quote-unquote, hate Thrawn, don't we? We don't want to, I mean,
well,
we secretly root for Thrawn.
If you want the fan base to hate Thrawn, he'll kill Shin.
Oh, my God, that would be, yeah.
The fan base would be,
they would all turn on him.
Thrawn, he's horrible. How do you dare touch Shin Hati?
But what makes a good villain is they do things we don't like, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we might like them out of story or out of context, right? Like, we like the fact that you've made Thrawn good enough to kill a hero that we would have never suspected. But, like, in story, we want to root against him. We want to be hating that character in the story, right?
Yeah.
That's how you do it. You have him kill somebody. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be Ahsoka.
No.
It's Ezra or Sabine or Hu Yang, I guess you could...
I also think we're going to get one last Anakin Skywalker.
Probably.
I think, we win the World Between Worlds, and he kind of talked to her a little bit. Then we saw the hologram of him. I think we're going to get the Force Ghost.
The real deal, even though I think
maybe
the World
popping
Between
up
Worlds...
where she is.
Maybe.
Like an actual Force Ghost, or maybe just hearing him. Though hearing him could be a Night Sister trick. We don't know.
That could be. That's more likely than anything else.
But I think we're going to get one more Hayden pop, because he went over so well. They had to know what they had when they had him in the studio.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get one more little boop. There he is, and we're all going to be excited.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. As long as he's used well, bring him on in. But no, I have to believe something is going to surprise us. It's going to be very disappointing if nothing is like, wow, I didn't see that coming. And it doesn't have to be like something completely out of left field. It can be a death of a character we don't expect. It can be just something, right? It's going to feel really strange if everybody just makes it back home and Sabine tells Ezra, and Ezra's like, oh, yeah, well, I guess I get it. And the cargo is never explained in Balin. We don't get anything cool out of that.
We have to at least get some of the answers. And I just don't know if they'll have enough time to give us enough of the answers.
Yeah.
I know we're going to get left wanting more, but you still have to wrap up thoughts for the season.
Yeah. I feel like this thing is going to be at one of the two extremes. Either we're going to be very happy, we're going to get a lot of things, or they're going to leave it very vague and we're going to be, really?
Upset
that was
for
it?
Years.
Yeah, maybe ever if this doesn't get a second season. I don't know. I'm hoping. I'm hopeful. I'm confident. I think it'll be decent. I do think it has a lot to cover in probably 45 minutes. That's the first thing I'm going to do is check that runtime. I'm very curious. I want to see an hour plus. I'll have a lot more confidence if I see that. If I see like 33 minutes, that's bad. But for now, that's all we got for you this time. So now it's your turn to take to the comments below and give us your predictions. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think something major is going to happen, or will this maybe be a bit of a letdown? Whatever you think, though, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.